This podcast is brought to you by Kiwi Design. Kiwi is the leader in Oculus Quest and VR accessories. And now, you can deck out your device while supporting the podcast.
The Oculus Quest 2 is a great headset, but do you ever find things could be a bit more comfortable, maybe a little safer? Well, we have the solution for you. With lens protectors, controller grips, face covers, head straps, link cables, headset stands, and so much more.
And let's be real, we've all whacked our controller. You don't want to be that guy messaging Oculus support for your own mistake or waiting weeks for an out-of-stock controller. Visit the link in our show notes now to prepare yourself today.
And you don't need to sacrifice comfort for cost either. Kiwi is constantly running promotions of 20, 25, and even 30% off.
Just visit the link in our show notes and use the promo code on their website to take full advantage of your savings. And be sure to follow the link in our show notes so we get credit and you help support the podcast. And remember, Kiwi has you covered for all your VR needs. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. We're joined here today with some members of the team for Color Connect. We got Kevin and Matt joining us today. So, guys, do you mind telling us a little bit about your game and exactly who you are? You know, I know we reviewed the game on our podcast, but maybe we have some people who didn't catch our full review.
No, there's some people that love the interviews and want to hear what the people who worked on the games have to say. So, and then it can, of course, entice some to actually go get the game and try it. So yeah, if you could please, introduce yourself and give us a little historical background.
Great. Well, yeah, thank you for having us on, guys. Yeah, KP here, Kevin, and Matt as well, the developer of Color Connect.
Hello.
Yeah, real pleasure to be on, and yeah, so thankful for taking the time to speak to us today. I guess, well, in terms of the game Color Connect, obviously, I know you reviewed it previously. There's been some updates since then, but it's very much still a puzzle game, which is consists of 55 levels at present. We're adding to them. We're adding other updates as well within the game, but it's really a cerebral experience. It's meant to be relaxing. And also challenging at the same time. So yeah, it's an interesting game. It's our first ever game in VR.
Yes.
And it's our first. Well, it's not technically not our first collaboration. So Matt and myself have worked together previously it was last year actually, wasn't it?
It was about a year ago. Yeah, it started October last year.
Yeah. So yeah, not in the VR space, but in sort of a mobile game that we got together, but we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later. But yeah, I guess for me, so my background, this is very much I guess a hobby in my spare time. So my full time I work in finance, and this is the hobby outside, which is becoming a lot more like a full-time job at the moment, to be honest, because there's a lot of hats that you have to wear within this space. So it's very much my role as a producer of Color Connect, and also the owner of Sandford Tech with my partner Richard, who's not on the call today, of course. But yeah, that's a sort of a bit about me. But maybe Matt, you want to say a few words?
Of course, yes. So my name's Matt. I'm, I guess, the lead developer of Color Connect. So when it comes to actually creating the code, the game engine, all that work, actually developing the mechanics for the game, that's what I've done. I've working with Kevin for just over a year now, and previously I was a freelancer, and I guess I've been working full time with Kevin effectively since October last year, with VR, with their VR development since maybe March, after the release of a mobile game we worked on. And yes, we've been working in the VR space since March on a series of prototypes, and then finally with the development and release of Color Connect midsummer around then.
So you guys were quick. From March to release.
So yeah, we had the timeline. Yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about there, because this is the first project that we've worked on. Although I've been, my background is, before I was freelancing last year, I studied games development. I have a degree in, I guess, general games development, and specialising in programming side, and with Color Connect, we were prototyping things in VR using the Unity game engine from about March time, and then sometime, I guess April, towards the summer around there, we developed the actual original prototype for Color Connect, which was maybe a couple of days worth of work just to get some very basic ideas out where you drag a line around from node to node to node, and some very basic levels that were created as well. And then from there, we've just eventually iterated on the project over and over and over. And within the space of maybe 2 months, 2 or 3 months, we had the game in its effective finished state and up for release. It was a very quick turnaround, I think, I will say. Not to gloat or anything, but I think I'm very happy with how far.
You can gloat. I think it's well deserved.
Yeah, I think.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, it was quick. I mean, we spent quite a lot of time in sort of wondering what we were going to build. We knew we wanted to build a VR experience and a VR game, and
it's an interesting way to approach how making a game. Yeah, so we sort of sat down and realized we want to make a game. We want to make a VR game, and we just for a time we were just making many different mechanics and all sorts of tiny little projects all over the place, and then we finally settled on what is now Color Connect.
Yeah. I know we had 2 others as well helping as well. So Pete and Dave, who are sort of good friends of mine, and Dave's Pete's brother. And I think they put together sort of the most extensive document, Google Doc I've ever seen. Sort of annotated, every single day would be uploaded and updated. And I think it was about 110 pages. And it was really just analysing, what games are available in the VR space, what, given the size of the team that we have, what's possible, what game mechanics are fun, and is there a gap in the market for sort of puzzle-based games? And I think we're all quite, that way inclined with sort of puzzle games, and it was, how can we bring that to a VR experience and, make it immersive, make it fun, and challenging at the same time. And we initially came up with sort of an escape room type game, which we just sort of found that actually we're probably, for our first ever game, it probably doesn't make sense to go all guns out and maybe spend the first 2 years building this magnificent escape game. So there was a part of that escape game or escape room game that we sort of developed this idea for Color Connect from, and it was connecting pipes up in a spaceship. So there's the space vibe that still carries on into Color Connect, but it was I think it was the spaceship, it's bursting out steam, and you have to pick up the pipes and put them in the correct colors so they don't overlap each other. And after that, we sort of said, perhaps maybe that's a bit ambitious in terms of what we're doing. So we said, okay, right, back to the drawing board. Let's try and make a vertical slice of a game that, it works, it functions, and we're happy with. And something sort of, Matt, I think, it was your idea, really. You took it from that concept. And we were going through maybe 5 or 6 different ideas. And as soon as I saw what you'd built, which was Color Connect, it wasn't called Color Connect at the time, but it was just a light bulb. That's it. And I think you built it in like 2 hours or something, didn't you?
the initial concept, yeah. So it was back in the days when Kevin mentioned this giant Google Docs document that was being put together. There was a time around the development of the initial part of Color Connect where my daily work would be to log on, take a look at what was new on this Google Documents list, and just effectively see what I can make from that to then feed back to the group to see, well, is this the sort of mechanic you want? Is this what we're going to make? It was a very sort of back and forth iteration time for like quick paced VR mechanics, working out what we really want to make. And then out of that came the very first initial idea for Color Connect, which was just taking a very simple idea and just applying it to a 3D space. And effectively from there, we knew that was an idea that we could take and then push to release. And that was the whole point of this, like creating something that we could then take and we could complete within a relatively short time, and then use that experience to iterate on and build other games in the future. And that was the learning experience that we draw from this, like knowing what to make a very quick and simple game, and then turn it into Color Connect, which we're obviously very proud of now.
Yeah, no, I think the feedback on it's been pretty damn good. I mean, I think the only complaint would be, the hardness that one could.
Well, at least it starts easy though. It gives you.
They grease you. They grease you good.
Gives you a little honeymoon period.
Grease you real good.
Real slowly, it's like, this is getting a little harder.
The brain. I think when what you call it, a I can't even say the word,
Cerebral,
cerebral
yeah.
experience. That's a great. That actually sums it up pretty good.
So
Because you're gonna use your brain.
absolutely. And do you guys still have plans for this escape room in the future? Or
Yeah,
is that
I took
kind
it.
of,
I wrote that down instantly.
is that idea dead in the water now until, because Color Connect has seemed to have, like Stratus just said, got a lot of attention, maybe more than you guys were expecting too. Is this now your primary focus, or is it, hey, this escape room, it's still in your mind, still something you guys want to do?
Yeah, I think, well, you're right. I think the Color Connect game, it's really, it was more of a test to see if we could genuinely build something that would, yeah, would function, would be enjoyable, would be fun. And then it was, it's a learning curve. It's a relatively new space for a lot of indie developers, and I know you guys review a lot of App Lab games, which is fantastic because it's a hard space to be in, and it's one, obviously, we've had to learn a lot in a very short space of time, and there's many hats you have to wear, and I think, yeah, we're certainly taking a lot of time at the moment to sort of mold Color Connect, make it the best we can, and absolutely continue with updates, and focusing on that. But I think in the new year we will be looking potentially at exploring some of those other ideas. I mean, we've got 110 pages of I'm not saying 110 games, but there's a lot of ideas. There's a lot of good hidden gems that we can look to certainly extract, and whether that's bringing them into the Color Connect game itself, or perhaps looking at doing something slightly different.
I mean, just adding on to that, we have a Unity project with a few, which is effectively just a giant playground of all sorts of random mechanics and all sorts of things that we developed, not knowing what we wanted to do with it. So, yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to go forward and make just about anything, including an escape room game after this. So,
I think the whole puzzle genre is, to me, a fantastic one for.
And I would count escape rooms in the puzzle genre as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Strategy, puzzle, escape room.
Yeah,
I would put it all in that classification for sure.
So
it certainly lends itself to VR, I think, and vice versa as well. I mean, just being able to interact with things, even the most simple idea, just picking something up is just so unique to VR. It's perfect.
Absolutely. Like you referenced, we love highlighting App Lab for a couple of reasons. A, that's had some of our favorite experiences on the Oculus store, official store or not. It comes from App Lab. And two, man, they really do you guys no service with like storefront time or anything like that.
No.
You really have
Exposure.
to find about the game on your own. And like, we're the kind of people, we check a couple different directories online that like list new App Lab games daily. We're checking those all the time, so we'll catch games like this and be like, ooh, this is a good one, but not everybody does that. I'd say like probably 99% of people don't. So for us, it's like we love to have the opportunity to be able to highlight games that don't usually get that kind of exposure. But do you guys have any word or any idea of what it takes for you to get on the official store? Any idea if that's something in the horizon?
We've
or
heard mixed. We hear mixed things
Yeah.
from different developers on their progress of what it's taking them.
Or is it
Yeah.
just kind of dead silence, no idea, day by day?
Wait for a phone to ring.
Maybe an email.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there are a few games that have now moved from App Lab, but I think App Lab is still quite in its infancy. So I don't know if anyone really knows what the recipe is to get on the main store. But I certainly, the more ratings you get, fantastic. Obviously, exposure to the game. I guess obviously sales as well, which you may not see through reviews, because there's only a very small percentage of players who will play a game that will actually review it. So it's not necessarily a true reflection on how much that game has brought in terms of player base. And I guess for the main store Oculus, obviously that exposure, as soon as you go on the main store, you're instantly helped by the fact that you're searchable. And if certainly in a genre like this as well, with puzzle games, there's not a huge amount on the main store, and that's one of the reasons that we look to build a puzzle game in the first place. I think that was one of the reasons. But yeah, it's to answer your question. No, we don't know, and hopefully we'll find out. But
Yes, it's just a matter of
it's
getting noticed, isn't it? I think
yeah,
that's got to be it. However that happens, whether it's reviews or downloads, or even just lots of publicity, it's just about getting noticed. I think.
Yeah, I mean, your game's gotten attention. I mean,
Yeah, there's a couple games like you guys, Squingle. It's like these guys.
yeah,
It seems like no brainers to be on the official store because it's not like you said. There's not. It's not another rhythm game or anything like
it's not a
that.
saturated market in any stretch. It's in
No,
its infancy of.
and it's not like a type of puzzle game that's been done over and over
Oh
and
God, no.
over again. It's
Yeah.
innovative.
Original.
It's new. In my opinion, you know, it's not glitchy. It's not broken. It's not an early access. Obviously, those are the games that should still be on App Lab. Games like this that are complete full games. You know, I don't see
Yeah,
why.
a polished game and a good experience deserves to be on the store.
Yeah, that's getting good attention. You guys have gotten a lot of good reviews, a lot of good media attention, I'll say, in the VR space. Appearing, you know, launch on some other headsets. Seems like a no-brainer for the official store to me. Of course, I'm not the guy who
We're
works
not
at
the guys.
Oculus, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not the peeps.
Yeah, if only you were.
right.
Yeah, no, I mean that's really kind. I mean, it's yeah, we've certainly seen things ramp up a bit since being contacted, like you mentioned there, the other headset. So HTC, they brought out the HTC Flow, which is all about sort of meditation, being relaxed whilst play. It's not necessarily a rival to the Oculus Quest 2, so it's absolutely not going to have the same player base for games. But I think the type of experience that we're going for is that relaxed, yeah, sort of meditative state whilst completing puzzles. It's meant to be enjoyable fun, and you can do it whilst laying down, sitting down, standing up, whatever you like. So it kind of fits that quite well, which yeah, it bucks the trend, I guess, from the sort of high adrenaline, action-packed shooters, and yeah, those mechanics perhaps that maybe are used. I mean, there's good reason for that because they're fun, and they're exciting.
Yeah.
But we just kind of wanted something a bit different, that was just yeah.
I think that's where we could be looking to go in the future. I think that slower meditative, well, not so much meditative, but what would you say, careful puzzle style games. I mean, they also they lend themselves just as well as action shooters, I think.
Well, I mean, from a therapeutic standpoint, I mean, I know people who start losing their mind and stuff. They're told to do puzzles and stuff to keep, it's brain food. It's actually like exercise for the brain. So,
Yeah.
I mean, to do it in a state that doesn't give you adrenaline, but you can still get a little dopamine rush because you can complete something. I mean, that's just how we're wired, right?
Yeah, and to me, like I like to play these games right before bed.
Yeah,
That's my
it's
favorite
yeah,
time.
the relaxation is definitely there with it.
You know, you go play a bunch of rounds of Population 1, then go to close your eyes, you're going to be sitting there like, fuck. You
Heart
go play
racing.
Color Connect, and it's not that the game's boring or anything. It's just nice. It's relaxing.
Yeah.
It's
The
peaceful. It's got
environment
nice,
isn't stressful.
nice
Yeah.
aesthetics. It's working your mind enough to keep you engaged, but you're not sitting there with huge flashing lights and bullets and things like that. That's getting your mind like, oh shit, I got to stay
The
awake.
adrenaline.
So I definitely mean I even just now get what you mean by meditative. Like, no, you're not going to sit there and you're not going to teach us how to breathe and everything like that. But
No,
just
exactly.
nice, relaxing, calm apps like that. That's cool. That's cool. So how many people worked on Color Connect?
I'm going to take a guess before the answer. I'm going to say 5.
I was going to say 4.
I'm going to go with 5.
And that's not an insult to you. It's just because all of the best games that I've played on the Oculus Quest store are always these teams of under 6.
Yeah,
under 6. So how many were worked on Color Connect?
I suppose direct development would be 3.
Yeah, 3.
Would be myself, Kevin, and our friend Bradley, who's responsible for all the visual amazing stuff you see in the game. The skybox, the color themes, the 3D models, all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
But
the 3 of us.
I suppose in terms of actually typing in the code, that's one. That's Matt.
Yeah.
It's
The game mechanics, yeah, just about. I mean, the interactions, the actual gameplay itself. Yeah, I suppose that's me.
Nice. And huge praise to all of you guys, including Bradley, because the visuals of it are
yeah,
they're
everything's
beautiful.
spot on. Like you said, I mean, and I think we said it in the review. You ever have a glitch?
No.
Right?
No, not one.
That's
No,
very
the
good
only
to hear.
glitch is the glitch in the brain that can't be smart
Yeah.
enough to figure something out. That's the only glitch. So it's like
So for one guy coding on it, wow. In terms of actual code and not having any
and
glitches
the
or
speed
bugs.
at which it was done.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes me excited to see more things coming out of you guys.
Yeah, and like we predicted, it was going to be some of the best games come from the smallest teams. There's just something about the small team environment. I think that can
Like
put out a
reiterate
good
just
product and still not, lose anything. It's like, so hats off.
And so how did you guys all meet, out of curiosity? You guys grow up in elementary school together, longtime friends? Was it Craigslist, hey, I'm looking for a development team?
Trying to do a game.
Yeah, how'd you guys come together?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much the latter, to be honest. It was last year. So, yeah, when we were talking earlier about building a mobile game. So, again, it was almost a puzzle game. It's like noughts and crosses, but a different take on that. And it's something I think during lockdown, sort of, had a lot of time on our hands. So I was sat down sort of thinking about making a game. And thought, right, let's just do this. And found Matt through the internet, the wonderful World Wide Web. And yeah, we sort of clicked from there, had a Zoom meeting, and instantly I just knew that Matt was the right guy to help me sort of bring that game. And I don't think you had made a mobile game before that.
No, I mean I'm very grateful that you took the chance because I didn't have a finished game on my portfolio at that point. Yeah, no, I'm still very grateful for that.
Yeah, I think we were both very new into the space, and it was just let's see what we can do. And yeah, it was incredible. Sort of the experience. I think we learned a lot about both game development, UI, user experience, and also about each other. Sort of weaknesses, strengths, skills, and it was really from there. I mean, we never met each other face to face, which was strange. And I think we would have done. We don't live that far away from each other, but obviously lockdown meant that we couldn't see each other properly. So it was Zoom calls on a Monday. I think
it was every single Monday.
Yeah, every Monday.
But we like messaging all for the week, just to back and forth on everything, all the developments of that.
Yeah, and then after we'd sort of finished that game, I say finished. There's still quite a bit to do on it, but actually the VR. I think I bought the Oculus Quest 2 last October, so just over a year. And it was that sense of, this is what we need to make. Let's put the mobile game to one side. This is where gaming's going. This is incredible.
So we published the mobile game to Android and iOS back in March. I think it was March.
Yeah.
And then within the month, Kevin had already sent me a quest, and we just went through that, and that's been what it was.
Yeah, we thank you for making the game. I mean, yeah, similar story. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was going to say that
going with it.
So many people have that same story. It's like you try VR and there's no going back. It's like, you should see how dusty my consoles are right now. It's like,
yeah.
Oh my god, flat screen gaming, and it's still fun. It's just it's not the same. I'm also amazed talking to all these developers how many games have started in lockdown. COVID was a very unfortunate thing, but it seems that it kicked up VR game development a lot.
I think it opened up people's ability to, some people have had projects tucked away in the back of their mind, but they lack the time to do it because you got all this real life shit going on, and then all of a sudden all that comes to an end and you're pretty much doing nothing for a while. Then you have an opportunity to create or do something that you might not have had the time. There's so many things I don't think would be in existence if it wasn't for those lockdowns.
Yeah,
it's really strange.
So what was this mobile game that you guys keep referencing, or what is the mobile game? You guys have referenced it a lot. Is it also a puzzle game, or?
Effectively, yeah. I mean, yeah, not referencing it a lot to sort of push it at all, but more just that's
we're curious.
It's coming up organically. I'm genuinely curious.
It's organic, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I guess it's just where Matt and myself really met. But no, it's like noughts and crosses, but it's a multiplayer game, and it's called Nexo, and it's something that I came up with I was actually visiting someone in hospital quite a bit, and it was before lockdown. Actually, it was. It must have been sort of towards the end of 2019, and we were just sort of playing games on like Noughts and Crosses or something. I remember coming home and I just thought, is there a specific way that you can win this game? And sort of went through so many different, Google searches and playing against myself to see if you have an advantage going first or whatever. Turns out there's a lot of information you can find out on that. But then I thought, okay, well, what if you made the grid bigger? Does that change things? And then it really sort of went from there and started playing this game. It was actually really quite fun, and just thought, let's see if I can actually make this into something. And that's where, sort of found Matt. But yeah, it's called Nexo. It's on iOS and it's on Android. It doesn't have a huge amount of downloads. We haven't sort of pushed it marketing wise or anything else like that at the moment. Like I said, it's sort of been put to one side whilst we're focusing on the VR, and I think it will probably stay there as long as we continue making making good games in virtual reality. So
no, selfishly I'd rather have you guys working in the VR world, not the mobile gaming world.
Oh, clearly a very talented team. Like
dude, if I were building a game, I'd have Matt on payroll tomorrow.
Right?
I mean, that's some
two
fast
games,
fucking coding.
2 games in like a year.
It's not even
year
funny.
And a half. Ridiculous. And I can't speak for the other
throwing
one.
like the fat budget, like real fat budget,
right? Well, I think that sometimes big budgets bring big problems too, because like too many cooks in the kitchen. I think that part of the magic is
I agree.
Clearly a very talented team, and like we said, sometimes
I'll keep my mouth shut. I just start thinking grandiose real quick. Like, you get people, certain people have talent for things, and certain people, can get things done, but they're not necessarily talented at what they do. So there's a difference. To someone to have the motivation to be able to pump out a game from start to finish,
quick and it be good,
and actually be a playable, non-broken, could be on the Oculus store tomorrow, and it would make sense. That's downright impressive.
I don't mean to shit on a big budget. I'm sure you guys want a big budget thrown your way. That does bring you access to more tools. Yeah. That does bring you access to more tools, more things like that too. So what's the future plans for Color Connect right now? I know you guys kind of hinted at the beginning to more levels coming. If somebody's a savage and able to plow through all those,
good luck. I know my mental weakness.
I think there's certainly things that we've taken on board and we've spent quite a bit of time on. So that's feedback from players in terms of how you move the puzzle. So now you can grab it and you can move it with both hands, twist it. So it's a lot more functionable. And if you're laying down, I suppose it makes it easy. You haven't got to use the thumbsticks. We also found that where we've ported it over to other headsets, they don't necessarily have thumbsticks as well. So actually the grabbing and twisting was opened up a lot more users to us, I guess, certainly where Steam's involved. But we also then added in, so there was, I think you mentioned it in the podcast on us as well, because we responded to one of the reviews, and it was about the colors. So being able to see them if you were colorblind, or maybe, so that's something we absolutely took on board, and we've added in. So there's 3 different presets for different types of colorblind mode, which I think there's more than that. So what we said is, okay, well, here's the main ones. Here's the 3 main types. But then in addition to that, we've also got a hexagon, a color hex, which you can then choose and customize every single color that you play with. So it opens up more accessibility and usability for the players. So that's taken up quite a bit of our time. We also had, of course, the porting over to that new headset with HTC, and they've sort of featured us within their marketing and rollout of the headset as well, which we're hugely grateful for. And couldn't believe it when they got in touch with us and said that that's what they were going to do. We were just sort of thinking, okay, okay, well, this is fantastic. But yeah, we certainly didn't go hunting for it. So that's taken up quite a bit of our time, which meant that we were hoping to do something for Halloween. But we've got a Christmas update that we are working on at the moment, which I don't know, Matt, do you want to talk about that?
yeah, we're still working on it, obviously, at the moment, and still fleshing out exactly what it will feel like, what it will be like. But we know at the very least it will obviously include more levels, and we're just hoping to make it more add more of an experience around it than just having, another menu with just like 10 more levels or something. We're looking to be a bit better than that.
Yeah.
And yeah, hopefully that will be realised.
Yeah, I guess we don't want to say too much in case we can't.
Yeah,
actually...
no.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Things change last minute, or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
I get it 100%. You don't. Nobody likes to break promises.
But you said, I remember
Yeah.
when you said it was gonna do. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I would be the first to say, nothing's ever installed.
No, 100%.
Until you're playing.
But that's cool to hear that you guys aren't just looking to go the easy way out and do, like you said, just, you make it, 65 levels, whatever it is, what it is now. Do something a little bit different, make it a little bit extra. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
We had additional levels last time. I think just before your first review of the game, we had some additional levels that you mentioned. Because I remember you mentioned that you hadn't finished the game, and then we added more levels, and that disheartened a bit. You were worried that it might. They're just going to keep adding levels, and we're never going to reach the end. I think in the future, with any new levels that we add, we'd like to do it in a manner where they'll be added as additional packs. So if we added the new levels tomorrow, for example, it'll be a separate entity on the menu. So you still have the original pack, therefore giving players the ability to finish the original set of levels, and then whatever the next packs would be completely separate.
Yeah.
Just
so you could still torture yourself with the first bunch of levels, but you could also now start a new set of torture through the new set of draft. That's fair enough. No, that's actually fair enough. That makes me happy, because if they were tacked onto the end, it would just be like
it constantly is getting bigger and bigger.
Come on, man! There's no way I'll be dead before I finish this game.
That's funny. That's funny.
That's a good way to do it, though.
That's a beautiful solution for completionists like us who are like obsessed with hitting the end of something.
Yeah.
And, for the people who still want, freaking more content because they're beasts and way smarter than I am and able to complete all the levers pretty quickly.
Speed finishing these.
Right.
Could you imagine?
My goodness. I think that's a perfect meet in the middle. It appeals, or it makes everybody happy. So that's freaking awesome.
So I got a great question. Since you guys created it, in some games it's not relevant to even ask this question, but this is a great one. Are you able to whiz through all the puzzles?
So it's funny you should say this. I've been very, very much considering, just because it would be a bit of fun, and just when I watch people play, YouTubers or just friends or something play the game, and they get stuck on a level. It's very frustrating when especially when you've made the level yourself, and you watch someone play it and they get stuck. And so I thought I could probably finish the levels within maybe 20 minutes if I just went through them all really quickly to all 55. Because when we first made it, I was worried that the game would be a bit short, because my entire frame of reference is that I've been playing it, and when I play it, obviously I'm just testing like the menus and how fast things come on, so I don't even think about completing the levels. I just zoom through that. Yeah. And then I had my housemate try, and he took maybe like 2 hours to get through the first 1.5 stages. So I thought, we're perfectly fine. We're absolutely fine. Yeah, in fact, maybe 55 is a bit much, actually. It's a bit...
I think there's oh, sorry.
No. By all means, there's a 1 second delay because of how far of the connection, I guess. But no, I'm always curious if like some people create a game and then they're like, oh man, I can't. I'm stumped.
Yeah, no, that's funny to you. It was just touching lights. You're like, shit, I know exactly where I'm supposed to go. This is easy.
How can you not see this?
Yeah. Me, I was more like your roommate. I'm like, fuck, this is getting hard.
I think there's definitely ways to solve it, and I think we don't want to necessarily give away everything to the player. So our tutorial at the start, we've spent so much time working out how do we explain to the user how to play this game, because to us it seems so simple. And those first few levels are, and it's kind of a guided tour, so you can't do anything other than grab that ball and move it, and then that happens for the next few levels, and then I think is it Trap, Matt, where
it's Trap is the first time you can mess up.
Yeah, so Trap is the first time where you can physically go wrong, and it's called Trap for that reason, and it's because you're expecting most players logically to try and go through the quickest route. But actually, that's not the game. It's you have to use up all nodes. So then you're hoping then the player's going to mess up, and if they don't, then they might have just missed that, and they'll see it later on. But it then shows up and says, these nodes haven't been hit. But if you play the game enough, you can kind of work out how to complete it. Because, for example, if you draw one line and that interacts with another line that then couldn't use it, it will then go dark. So it almost disappears as an option. And then also it's kind of playing it through in your head, I guess, almost like a Sudoku, where sort of a 5 can't go here, but could a 4 and a 3 could go here. So you're like thinking, okay, the red and the blue could go there, but then if the red went there, could it then do this? So I think there's a lot of thinking involved, and I think that sort of spatial awareness, you can walk around the puzzle, analyze it, and pick it up, move it, twist it. It's absolutely not something that, like you said, you're going to whiz through. It's going to take time, and I think that's kind of where you're getting. I think you mentioned it as well. Sort of maybe you're getting your money's worth, because you're going to spend quite a bit of time trying to complete these puzzles. It will take a long time, but you have to think about it. But they can all be solved logically. So yeah, yeah.
I love when you play it. Like, let's say you start from the beginning and start replay. You can get into like a flow. I remember when we were playing before, I felt like I was in a mental flow where like there was a handful of puzzles where I could see it. It felt weird, but I could see the answer. Like, I just knew what I needed to do. I didn't need to go screw up, because my other method is make a mistake and then I kind of see the solution if I make a mistake.
You just know you can't go that route, and you're like, all right.
I just have to look at it, and then it's like, I don't know, maybe that's just how everyone thinks. I can sometimes, you feel like a mental flow.
I just remember in the first couple of missions, kind of like you said, it's kind of a guided tutorial. You don't really get told what to do. You just kind of figure it out.
You're feeling like you're gonna ace this.
Well, I just remember feeling like monkey see, monkey do. I was like, I don't exactly know what I'm doing,
but it's
or
working.
what the point is, but it's working. It just feels natural. And then by the time it started to get hard and I started to lose, I was like, all right, I understand fully what's going on.
Yep. No, it's because you have to introduce somebody to a new style of gaming that's never been done, right? I mean, you're in a freaking virtual world, let alone train your brain to start thinking, left and right.
Yeah. This color, this pathway. It's like there's a lot going on. So Matt, we know you blow through the game. How about you, Kevin? Can you finish in 20 minutes?
Absolutely not. No. I think I know where we added some, because I completed the game. And then my sister had completed the game, actually. I think she completed it quicker than I did. Which she was sat down doing it. I was like, how have you done that already?
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah. No, definitely take me a lot longer. I think even because it's an odd one, because we've had some feedback that, if you complete the puzzle and you do it in more than the allotted moves, so obviously there's an amount of moves that if you get that, 10 out of 10, then you get 3 stars. But perhaps maybe you did it in 18 moves, and then you redo the puzzle. So it resets, and then you just draw it back the way that it was, and then you get your 3 stars. So 10 moves out of 10. But if you come back to it at a later date, you're never going to remember how that puzzle was put together. And you have to logically go through it again, just like any other puzzle. Like I think I used a Sudoku reference earlier. You couldn't pick up a Sudoku that you've done before and remember how it's done. So no, it takes me ages. Matt, he has no problem at all. I don't know how he does it in 20 minutes. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Just when I'm testing all the other features of the game, not just the gameplay itself. If I, for the longest time we were developing like the pause menu and things like that, and how that integrated, and making sure that was all working. I'd have to go through all the levels and just over and over and over. I probably played it way too much, just from having to get to access all the parts of the game to debug it and make sure everything's working correctly. Navigating, especially the first 3 stages. Once it gets to stage 4 and onwards, and also with some of the newer levels as well. Obviously, I do stumble a bit, but I would be interested. perhaps in just making a video, just storming through the game.
Yeah,
So I
I
can hold
think
the
it
world
would be a
record
good.
for speedrunning.
I think it'd be a great, or even to challenge others. You know, how quick can you
Yeah, beat my time.
beat my time? I always question if some of the developers or some of the top ranks when I see leaderboards for stuff. If it's like, well, that's the guy who coded the game. He's
Yeah.
got an advantage. You
Yeah.
know, it's like,
It doesn't
you
seem
know,
fair.
every game's got sweet spots and stuff. If
Yep.
it's a shooter, so that's funny. But that'd be awesome to see, actually.
So a little bit on your background. You mentioned you did a lot of freelance work, and you work in finance. You know,
Yes.
this is a little bit of a side gig. For you, Matt, you mentioned that you never finished any games. Were there a lot of kind of start and
Conceptuals.
kind of like
think-
start and halfway
yeah.
done game projects, or were you not even doing game work? Were you doing more like unrelated software development?
No, I was, but actually previously, before working freelance in games development, I was working youth work out of university. So at university, I was studying games development, just specifically in procedural generation. That's what my dissertation was on. But then after that, I actually went into youth work for about a year and a half. And then after that, this is around the start of COVID, I decided to go freelance. And then that was back in like January 2020, around then. And I had some small contracts here and there, but never actually got hired to develop a full game. Just small bits, people wanting single mechanics for their games, other developers hiring, that sort of thing. And then in October is when I actually first started working on a full game. But previously, just on a personal level, I think myself and every other developer you'll talk to has got folders upon folders of things that they think when they first start out are going to be the greatest game in the world. And they think, this is it. I'm going to stay up all night and I'm done. I'm going to sell this. It'd be fantastic. And then, you know, it's just unrealistic or whatever. And they're all just learning experiences. I've got millions and millions of folders of just mechanics, single mechanics that I think this would be really cool if I spent more time on it, but you get sidetracked, you think of something else cool. So yeah, just working on a full game with someone else. I mean, working with Kevin on Nexo and then onto Color Connect as well. It's the first time I've worked closely with someone else on realizing a game, and so that's very motivating, and probably the key reason why both games were brought to market in the end. I think rapidly as well with the second game as well.
And for you, Kevin, how did you know that game design was something you wanted to go into as a little bit of a side gig? I'm guessing it's something that you probably had on your mind for years before, you know, the opportunity with COVID came. But for you, how did that come together?
Yeah, I think certainly certainly in the VR space, it must have been, I can't even remember how many years ago it was, but it must have been maybe 2015 or 16. Whenever it was, they brought out the Samsung Gear VR, and it was just the one that you could just plug your phone into. And I think it came out at the same time that they brought out the Galaxy S7. And I just remember going to the shop and putting it on, and you know, the person, I think it was Car Film House or whoever it was, and I think you had to pay £30 for this VR headset, which just seemed, you know, bonkers, given that it was thousands of pounds for a VR headset back then. So there was no way I was ever going to have one of them. But tried it on in the shop, and I just remember I nearly fell backwards because I think we were listening. They showed me this sort of Marvel 2-minute short film, and at one point you're standing on the side of a skyscraper, and I genuinely got vertigo from just being in VR, and I just couldn't believe how immersive that experience was. And just that I think that was the first, in fact, that definitely was my first VR experience, and just mind was blown, and just knew that, yeah, that's how I want to experience games in the future. And to be honest, at the time, never thought that would sort of lead to actually start then developing for games, but it was definitely sort of a catalyst to that. And yeah, just seeing it. But yeah, my background is very much, this is I guess sort of a side hustle. It was a hobby. It was more just a project to do in lockdown, really, with Matt, when we were working on something else, and it's just sort of grown from there. And I just love it. I just love how many hats you have to wear. It's kind of, certainly we're in this level as well, because you've got to do the marketing. You've got to be up all night answering, issues about the game if something goes wrong or someone's got any feedback that you need to address. also checking in, with Matt, checking in, making sure that our visuals are right, putting, forever getting back into the headset. And I know my partner's sort of looking around and she just sees me standing there in the room playing VR. Because I'm just testing out, Matt's done some fantastic thing that we just spoke about 2 days before, and now it's built, and sort of playing through it. Does it work? Does it function? Does it make sense? And I think that sense of achievement from taking something from what at the time was a Zoom call into something that's physically, I'm in it. I'm in virtual reality in this world, playing the thing that we were just talking about. It's just it's incredible. But yeah, I think it's definitely taking up a lot more of my time now than I thought it would. And it's really strange how in being a game developer, you don't realize, it's very easy, I suppose, to come up with, well, I say easy, it's absolutely not, but to come up with a concept for a game, but then to put that in place and then everything else that goes around it. And I think last weekend, we went to this airfield because we were filming a new trailer for the new headset with Color Connect, and was in this sort of, makeshift set of a Sri Lankan airline first class passenger aeroplane. I was just thinking, why, a few months ago, this was just not my life. Like, what am I doing? And but for a good reason, it's incredible. It's an experience that I absolutely don't get in my sort of 9 to 5, if I'd call it that. But it's certainly becoming more of a passion, and looking to hopefully get some further games under the belt as well once we've got these updates and everything else for Color Connect sorted as well.
It'll be interesting to see if the scale of balance of hobby takes over to
right. How fast things have already seemed to escalate quick, right? So
I think that's freaking awesome.
Oh yeah. So I always love to ask, what's your first experience in VR? Kevin, you touched on that a little bit with, the Gear VR, blowing your mind with the Marvel experience. For you, Matt, was the getting that Quest 2?
The Quest 2 was the first VR I'd had access to in a while. Back in 2017, probably my first time with VR. It was during my final year at university, and we had an assignment to work on just a VR game of some kind, and we had access to VR equipment from the university rented. And yeah, myself and my housemate, who was also in my course at the time, we sat down and just developed the worst feeling Star Trek bridge type thing, where you had these little robots that ran around, and you pointed the Vive wand controller at the floor, and it had voice recognition software in it. So you pointed at the floor and you shouted "go," and then after about 8 or 7 times of shouting "go," they'd finally understand it, and the robot would move over there. And that little application was probably a few days worth of VR that I ever tried until having the Quest here, probably this year. So I really didn't have that much experience in that. I didn't have a fantastic amount of experience working in VR. I did try on, like the very, very, very first time I had VR on, it was like a little Spitfire demonstration that someone had made, like a 3D animation. And you put the headset on, but I was disoriented, so I ended up standing on the wing by accident as it was flying through the air, and that completely freaked me out. I hadn't had that much experience with it, other than making silly little demos, little game development demos with my housemate back at university. So, but the Quest is so much better than those headsets. It's just a fantastic headset to work with. The fact that it's wireless and how powerful it is. It really opens up a lot of boundaries for what you can develop with it.
Yeah,
we love seeing people push how far can they push it currently with the technology that's there. So that's why I'm always longing for that next more powerful headset to come out from Oculus.
Right. It's funny you mentioned like it was a little freaky when you popped out on the wing. I always find like when glitches and bugs happen in VR, it's different than in console gaming or PC gaming. It's like PC gaming stuff, it's funny and stuff. VR, when stuff starts to go wrong in your headset, like where you're immersed, it's like, oh my God, feels like your brain is breaking. It's not right.
Immersion's real, vertigo's real.
Yeah.
Right?
Like in Color Connect,
I've climbed things and looked down. gotten vertigo.
Like sweaty palms and everything like
Yeah,
that.
it's legit.
And the Quest 2 was our first introduction to VR too. We were people who had been eyeing it for years, but kind of what Kevin referenced before too, with like $1,000 for a
three
headset.
or $4,000. No,
Plus,
thanks.
you know, I had a decent computer, not anything that could run VR. It was like well out of the scope. So Quest came out, you know, I'm eyeing it. Should have pulled the trigger then, but I didn't. Quest 2 came out, it was a no-brainer, and we ended up starting a podcast all about it. So look at that.
We might have liked it a lot,
right?
Just a little too much.
So a couple more questions. You guys are probably so busy working just on your game alone. Is there any games that you guys, you know, happen to enjoy besides what you're producing yourself? Or is it pretty much, you know, all eggs in the basket? You really don't have time to explore any other games?
Meaning like playing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of enjoying yourself, playing.
I think, Kevin, you play a lot more VR than I do.
Yeah, well, I think certainly when I think when I first got the Quest 2, my bank must have wondered what was going on with my with my balance, because I was literally just buying everything. I wouldn't say I have a particular sort of favorite. I think it's quite hit and miss in terms of the games, because some of them you can find yourself sort of the first time you play it, you're thinking, but then you actually come back to it and you find out that that's one of the games that you play more than some of the others. Whereas, you know, there's some, I think I'm just trying to think of, is it Vader 3, I think, with the lightsaber dojo. Have you played that?
Yeah, I've played all three of them.
Yeah.
So
the first one has the dojo, right?
I think all of them have a dojo with the little variations, but they're all pretty similar.
Okay.
I didn't discover the dojo till afterwards either.
Yeah, that's the best part of the game, I think. But but I just remember playing it thinking, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. You know, this is amazing, and it was incredible. But I probably wouldn't pick that back up. But there's other games. I think something that we need to look at, certainly with the next game, is multiplayer, because I think VR is, you know, that is what it's for. I think it's experiencing with others, and I think just certainly during lockdown as well, the fact that you can play, you know, you can play a game with someone anyway, you know, on Xbox or PlayStation or whatever. But I think in VR, it just feels so much more personal. And if you've got avatars there, you're talking to each other. You genuinely feel like you're in the same room. So I think it's something that we need to explore a bit more. But yeah, a couple of games, I suppose. I know you mentioned Scringle earlier as well. So we talk, or we've spoken to the developer of Scringle a few times actually. Sort of just sharing ideas and things. But it's that's a great game. Again, puzzle genre, and something completely out there and very different. I think I can't remember for the life of me what it's called, but you're cooking in a kitchen, and it's actually quite frantic. It's really quite stressful, and you've got to sort of make loads of burgers and pizzas, and there's some Chinese food in there. I'm gonna have to Google it. I can't remember what it's called now.
Was it a paid one or was it free?
No, it was paid.
Yeah, I think it's Cookout by Resolution.
Cookout?
Oh my goodness, if it's that game, dude, that game is stressful. It starts
Yeah.
so fun, and then you're gonna be like, dude, I just worked all day. I just worked 8 hours. I'm coming home and doing more work at home.
Working harder at home,
right? Than I did at the whole day.
Yeah,
doing dishes and shit like that.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity too, as well. Understandably, for Matt, it's probably like putting on a headset and playing a game after you've just been coding, and making your game all day is probably not the most appealing thing. So when you guys happen to have some free time, you know, which understandably there might not be too much of with all that you have on your plate.
Yeah.
But you know, what do you guys like to do in your free time? Whether it's, you know, oh, I'm a big foodie, I like to go out to eat. You know, I just like to hike, enjoy nature. You know, watch movies. You know, what do you guys like to do?
Or what's free time?
Yeah. Or there is no free time. Ha. That's a myth in my life. You know, what's the go-to for you guys?
I think it's I like going outside. I like just seeing my friends a lot whenever I can. But I like going long walks, especially as you say after a long day of development. And obviously sat here all day, whether it be just with the headset on or just coding sitting down. yeah, whatever I can do to just sort of get my mind away from the computer for a bit, whether that be going out with friends, going out for a meal, seeing a film or something. But yeah, I just like to go on long walks, I think.
No, that's good
Yeah.
to hear. I,
I
I'm,
like.
I'm said it before, the believer in that balance of
Technology and nature.
technology and nature.
They say you
There's a
should get
middle
away
ground.
like every 15 minutes or something, but that never happens. It never happens. I try and make
No,
up for
not
it,
if you're in a
like,
groove.
Yeah, you get in the
spent
flow
8
of it.
hours coding, and then like I think I'm gonna just make it up 4 hours of walking. But it doesn't quite work like that, does it?
It's like trying to catch up on sleep. Unfortunately, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
How about yourself,
I should have
Kevin?
said
What do you?
sleep actually. Sorry, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, right. Sleep. Sleep's a good free time one. Shit, I wish that there was more time for that. Fuck. So, how about you, Kevin? What do you like to do in your free time?
Yeah. So it's really strange. I'm almost thinking like pre and post lockdown, or sort of
Yeah.
during lockdown. I'm trying to think, what did I used to do, because right now free time doesn't exist. It doesn't feel like, because obviously this is a a hobby on the side of the full-time job. So I think during lockdown I probably worked far too much, and I'm still doing that. So I need to give myself some more free time. So yeah, it's a good prompt. But no, probably before that, it was getting out. I used to run quite a bit. I've done quite a few half marathons. Never a full one. I don't know if I could. I don't know if I can put myself through that. But yeah, a lot of tennis as well. I was really getting into tennis for the past few years, and golfing as well quite a bit. So it's nice, sort of sociable, getting outside, open air. I have to admit, I'm more of a fair weather golfer though. So if it was you wouldn't send me out with a brolly and wet weather gear. It'd be very much, if the sun is out, then I'll be doing that. But other than that, it would be skiing. So yeah, big passion of mine. I straight after university, I went out to work in Switzerland as a chalet host out there, just so that I could ski for sort of 6 months whilst I was deciding what to do with my life. But yeah, I've been skiing since I was probably about 6. So if I could be anywhere, it would be in the Alps. Yeah, absolutely skiing. So, yeah, but I need to get that free time back to do it. But we are going skiing in January, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that COVID isn't going to bugger that up. We'll see.
No, and it's sad that we have to think when someone says like, "Hey, what do you do?" It's like, "Well, what did I do?"
Yeah.
I used
Yeah.
to do things differently than I actually do now. No matter what it is you think you're doing, I don't think anything's exactly the. I hope you get your ski trip in. I haven't skied in years, and I missed the hell out of it.
Yeah, I remember you used to be really big into skiing.
You could see a ski mountain from my backyard. It was awesome.
And hopefully, hopefully we see you guys as part of the next, wave of games that get on the official store.
I
too.
still,
To me, it doesn't make
it's like,
sense.
no, we say this every friggin' time we talk about an Apple app game. It's like some games it makes sense.
Yeah, like
other games it just doesn't make sense.
the first Crisis Brigade that still says coming soon and that's never gonna get freaking finished. That makes sense that that's on Apple app.
That's gonna stay there.
Color Connect that has a full polished game with no glitches, innovative. I mean, amazingly positive reception. What do you guys even know off the top of your head the ratio of bad reviews you have? I mean, like, who's complaining? People who probably hate puzzles, like, why are they buying the game? Right? It's like
yeah, always exactly. Yeah, I guess you kind of what you're letting yourself in for before buying it. We've had it was quite annoying. So we've had 1 2-star review, which obviously knocked our rating down quite a bit. So if it weren't for that, then we'd have 4 5 stars. But we never found out why. So they never left a review. They never got in touch. But it was just 2 stars. So I don't know if, and it was in the early days. So I don't know if maybe perhaps they had an issue with downloading it or whatever. I don't know. We also did have an issue with our Steam VR a couple of weeks. It was about a week ago, and where we'd done the update, sort of clicked submit and thought, yeah, fantastic, that's going in, because we'd tested it a lot, but we hadn't tested it in this one instance, which clearly then broke it for everyone apart from us. So there was a day or so where the game wasn't functioning properly, but the users that came back to us, they weren't angry at all, and I think it sort of resonates with the VR community. Everyone is so kind and so nice, and I think I private messaged them back and just said, so sorry, like we've realized that there's an issue. And they came back to us. They were, sending us code and debugging the game for us to sort of say, this is what's wrong, and super helpful to you, Matt. I know we managed to get
extremely.
we managed to get the issue solved in like an hour or so. So it was all back up. But and I think I said to them, we'll send you, we'll refund the game because obviously that's impacted your experience, and we'll give you a key. And on both accounts they just said, no, we don't want it for free. We just want to let you know, we really want to play the game and we want to support indie developers like you. So I was kind of thinking, well, I need to do something. So what can I do? And I think he was streaming the next day, and I just said, well, do you like merch? Because we can send you a t-shirt. I mean, it's not really merch because it's just something that I put together when we went out for a night out in Bournemouth once. And it's a t-shirt. So I'm going to pop that in the post to him just to say thank you. But other than that, no, it's all been really positive. I don't know if people are just being kind or generally they're enjoying the game. So, yeah.
No,
I don't think people are just being kind out of the kindness, especially with reviews.
No, that's what I was saying. Like, it's a game that's clearly should be on the official store, so I hope I hope we can see it move. To me, it doesn't make sense. I know that's well out of your guys' control, but
no, just more people have to actually, rate and review. 5-star, not 3 or 2.
Two with no description. Yeah,
that's just stupid.
Yeah.
So any of our viewers, you've played Color Connect, you liked it, you had a good time because it's a fucking good game. Go rate 5 stars. Like
you can 5-star and not review it, right? That's
not rate
that's
it.
acceptable.
That's nicer than a 2-star not rating.
Yeah. The no. I mean, I always ignore the 1% because I assume there's 1% of everything. But when you start getting into that 2-3 variable, then it's like have the decency to at least let somebody know why. What was the issue? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. And it sucks you don't have the ability to like
reach out to them directly
or get a mulligan from be like, hey, that's just random. There's no review. That's not fair.
Yeah. Probably a bot.
Could be anything. Could be absolutely anything.
So yeah, before we wrap things up, anything like that, is there anything that you guys want to talk about that maybe we didn't go over yet?
I guess maybe just that, just the development on the game. Absolutely, we're there's a lot more that we've still got to give on Color Connect, and I think there's hopefully going to be some things in there as well that maybe help out those users like yourselves that are getting stuck. So it might be that we might allow progression onto next levels, maybe if you have a certain amount of stars per stage or something like that, because certainly some of those later levels are just far more interesting to look at, I guess, in terms of the bigger and more complex they get, the more interesting that puzzle looks and feels when you're playing it. So I guess there's that, and then hopefully I think December 1st we're hoping to drop the Christmas pack, which I think probably in terms of levels we're probably going to try and keep them a little more accessible, maybe, or just like so you can complete them in the holiday period and you're not stressed whilst you're going to get your Christmas dinner
until
or something.
The Easter level comes out. Yeah, I
get
it.
We're trying to make that one more of an experience, the Christmas one. Give it as an experience as well as the level pack. Just make it more interesting.
Yeah,
so it'll be just a slight, still the same puzzle, but a deviated change from. Okay, no, I'm a little intrigue is good.
Yeah, I'm excited, very, very excited.
Yeah,
I'm one of those. I get amped up for
little hints
when I see updates to things or something. I get like when you see it on the screen, game needs an update. I'm like, ooh, was this a game update or was this just a bug fix? So I'm one of those who gets excited.
Yeah, we're hoping to do something quite different. So I'm hoping that the fact that you guys have played it before, if you were to then pick it up, you'd be thinking this isn't Color Connect almost when you get it, and that's a good thing because it, like Matt said, we're trying to create an experience with this, but it then will very much lead back into Color Connect, but in a very different way. that doesn't give away
Right.
too much. So
No.
I'm excited.
Although there's some genius who's probably got the mental picture right now. Who's
Right.
like, oh, I got this. I already
Yeah.
know. No, I'm pumped. It's awesome to see the development coming out, and I love original. Who all the different levels and actual puzzle design. Who was that collaborated, or was that really one person?
So the levels themselves,
Yeah.
early on in development, I created a tool that let me put the headset on and start with like 5 parallel bars or something, and just drag them around to create the levels themselves using the VR headset. And I start forming them into things, and eventually that would come together. And then I'd look at it from a few different angles, and then go, a house, you know, that would be called house. That was effectively the process. It was like, you know, looking at, as you said in your other review, looking at star constellations and working out what does it look like, you know, objectively to subjectively to you. So yeah, that's where that came from. And unfortunately, I'm sure Kevin would have loved to, but just given the way in which levels had to be developed, it was developed within the Unity editor on the PC, within the headset. So it was obviously a very difficult thing to export that and allow Kevin to create levels. So the actual creation of the levels themselves were a process done by myself.
Okay.
But then we've obviously shared naming and things like that.
And very clear collaborative effort. And I'll give you guys a lot of credit. Clearly, you guys have a good chemistry together as a team.
Yeah, teamwork seems to be right on the money.
So how long did it take to design the 55 levels?
Just the 55 levels?
Or no?
Because you know how long it took
well, how
to do the
how
game?
many first came out when the game launched?
First came out 50.
50? So how long did that take to design? 50 levels.
Well, that was sort of for the full duration of developing the game. Like for the first part of the game, of the game's development cycle, we only had 3 levels, and we were just using that as a demo to sort of get the rest of the game in place, all the UI and all that going. And then once that was finished, we then started cycling on and really push towards creating all the levels. Well, each level really only takes between 15 minutes and half an hour to actually create. But then a lot of the levels I haven't really been happy with, so we haven't really used a lot. I mean, there's been a lot of levels that have been developed, and then we've I thought, well, these aren't quite good enough, or, you know, they don't feel right to complete, or that fun, or they don't really look like anything. I've tried to avoid adding levels that look just like a jumbled mess, except for the one level called Jumble, which is that exact thing.
It's supposed to be.
But then, yeah, so yeah, really, you can extrapolate that if you want, 15 minutes to half an hour for 50 levels, but then that's not really a fair thing to say, because a lot of levels have almost been ditched or not good enough, I think.
All right, so okay, that makes sense.
How many? Do you have a rough number of how many you think you've made in total?
Well over 200 probably, just from stuff.
Jesus.
I mean, as I said, you could take like just 5 bars. That's what's given to me when I'm in the headset, and just drag them into any combination. Click 2 nodes of each controller, and that will create a connection between the 2. And then just save that, and that's one level done. And that could take you maybe 20 seconds, but then it wouldn't be a good level.
No.
Yeah, it's curating that, isn't it? And then making sure that it works well, and there's a logical way to a logical path and way to solve it, and progressively get harder, which I think
the difficult progression's been quite a thing to focus on. And you mentioned it in your last one, and at the start of the podcast today. Obviously, it's you said like around 1.8, the difficulty starts to ramp up. I mean, we've rearranged before release, we rearranged the levels so many times to try and work out what's the best way to sort of have that difficulty not just be too sudden. And it's quite a hard thing to balance, I think. Especially when, you know, obviously if you're like myself and you've played the levels over and over and over, I can't really spot the difficulty curve as easily as someone else. So I've got to watch a lot of people play, and so it's always good to get feedback of where people get stuck for the first time, I think.
That's funny. I wonder if the consensus is pretty much the same though. Like overall, like if everyone was to be honest. And at what point did you really start having to think?
It's like, oh yeah, that level.
Like, oh yeah, I remember that one. Well, and that's the thing too with the levels. It's not like they're jumbled messes. It's like each level's been created and it's creative. So it's like,
yeah, because he's got 150 discarded jumbled messes in a folder somewhere on his computer,
right? That are probably still good. But
Right.
I'm thinking that's you got to think with the smaller teams, they're their biggest critics, and
Yeah,
that's the only critics other than a handful of others that probably. So you're probably getting a very, very polished product.
right. To most people, they might actually play it and be like, "Oh, that was a decent level." Whereas
These levels are great.
you're looking at your own work, you're like, "That sucks."
Yeah.
Is there any level that for the most part, like you said, you just kind of put it together and then afterwards looked and say, "Oh, there's a house, there's whatever."
That was the process for most of the level
Well,
naming. Yeah, we certainly
was there
tried.
was there
to-
any that you specifically intentionally, maybe it
Oh,
meant
I
a little
see.
bit more to you, or you went for this goal?
Yeah, actually, there's one which I tried to make look like the Eiffel Tower. I think it's 4.1. I might be wrong with that, but once you look at it, it's around there in the game. You can see it's got the 4 legs, it's got the tall point. But then after it did that, I had a few extra nodes left, so it's the Eiffel Tower with a weird thing stuck out the edge of it. And there's been a few like that where I've just tried to make things. I mean, a lot of the earlier levels have mirror in the name, just because it was quite easy to create it and then use the rest of the nodes on that level to form the other half of it. So you end up with this mirrored thing. And then towards the later half of the game, you start getting the really big levels, the more complex ones. Once you start getting up to all 6 colors, and then you've got giant things. I think I called one refinery. It looked like some giant oil factory.
Yeah,
So
that
the
is.
big
Yeah.
plumes of like towers and the huge warehouse looking thing. One of them called networking. It's just it looked like the inside of the Matrix. You've got these long lines that go all over the place, and they sort of connect up in all interesting computer hardware looking ways and things like that. So it's as I said before, it's very subjective, the naming. I'm sure someone else would look at any of these and think that doesn't look anything like a factory. It looks like a dog.
But that's how stars
But-
are too.
But you know what? They didn't make the game,
No.
so they can make their own game and call it whatever the hell they want. Figure it out.
Well, have you ever had somebody look up, be like, "Hey, look up at the stars. You see that? It's this image." And you're like, "This
Yeah.
person's on drugs, man. I don't see that at all." So it's kind of that same thing, It's kind of a little bit, what you pick out, dude. Do either of you have a favorite level, like one that's this is it, or is it at a certain point it's kind of all the same to you?
I do.
I like the very last level. It's called Final Point. It's small and it's surprisingly difficult, which is why it's at the very end. It was originally made as like an easy stage level, but then every time I came back to it, I forgot how it was done every time. So I thought this is perfect for a very last level.
Yeah.
But then I quite enjoy 2.1. It's called House. It was the very first level I ever made. Like for the full game, I had a few jumbled messes for the concept phase of the game when I was working at the mechanics. But when I decided to actually start making real levels, that's the very first one I made. And it's always a good test when people first play the game, because they can easily get stuck on that one. Although I've seen some people get stuck on that one for half an hour, and I've seen some people just go straight through it immediately. So it's very hard to gauge that. But I do quite enjoy that one, 2.1. What about you, Kevin?
I think is a skyscraper. I think that one is like the most visually pleasing.
We've used it on all the trailers, yeah, because it's just one that looks designed to look like a neon cityscape.
Yeah,
it's sort of thing you'd hang up on a wall, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so that
it's very easy that level though.
And it is actually compared to where it is in what number it is. I think it's in the 3rd pack.
We scattered easy levels throughout the harder stages as well, just to keep it so that you could have, as you said before, that flow when you finish one level and then you get to the next level and you just start going through them all, just so you don't get stuck level after level towards the harder stages. So you can just sort of have that flow as you go through.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Skyscraper is a very good looking one, and Tower as well, which I think is 2.8. That was the second level I ever made. It was like my attempt at a larger one. And yeah, some of the levels get really big. I think there's one. I think it is networking. It's in real life size, it'd be maybe 2 meters by 2 meters. It's absolutely ginormous, and you've got some that are really small, maybe a foot or something. And it's that consistency. It's hard to manage, but
yeah,
I think small doesn't mean easy, like you had mentioned.
No,
so, especially if the smallest one. Now I'm like, I want to try that one.
Yeah, now you want to go back to it.
Well, I want to know the last one.
Oh yeah, Final Point. Did I don't want to. I almost don't want to find out. But did either of you finish the game in the end?
I have not.
No, I've not yet.
I have not.
I don't. That's fair enough. I think. I don't blame you at all.
Yeah, If it make like most puzzle games that are level based, I'll be honest with you. Most times I can't complete them. I think I'm a little bit stupid.
What I do, my thing is,
Most people
like,
don't finish them. I think when it comes to puzzle games, most people don't finish them.
Yeah, I'd say if you could have the data of everybody, I'd imagine the number one. Like most people would probably stop around like 25 to 30. If you,
Yeah, that's fair. I'd be interested to know what the last levels you were at were.
Ah man, you know what? I'd have to fire up the headset and look at the last one.
Yep. I actually am. After we reviewed, I did some more because I'm like a go back guy.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting.
After this interview, I'll turn on the headset and I'll send it to you guys, and then I'll write it in the show notes. I'll put it in the show notes for the episode for anyone curious. We can write what the last episode we left off on.
Right.
We're gonna get a bunch of comments being like, "These guys are idiots." Gonna make it past that.
I'll send you a video of me just storming through it in 2 seconds.
Right. I think that would be a great YouTube video for you guys to post. I would say promotionally, but it would be a little bit of a spoiler. But if you could do it so fast that there's no way anybody would remember.
Oh, you know what though?
And do them out of order, so you can't do level 1.
That's
like
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, boom, boom, and then like nobody's gonna remember
because people would slow it down.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
You can't say what the name of each one is.
Like people would probably avoid them if they actually wanted to complete it themselves. I mean, people tend to, if they actually care about the puzzle game, they tend to not look at
see the spoilers. That would
guides.
be my fear. Maybe you can make it black and black and white, something like that.
Yeah.
Something. There has to be something you can do, or it would be a giant spoiler video.
The guide to Color Connect that all 55 levels completed in 20 minutes. Yeah.
Yep, in less than 20 minutes.
Right. Yeah. But then I think it would be great. It could set off a trend of speed runs. I want to see if there's anyone who can beat your time.
That's kind of where I was going. Like, it'd be cool to see like what other people are really doing. I mean, some of them are, let's be honest, the grease-on ones are pretty easy. You can whip through some.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be really curious to see someone, especially fresh. That'd be the real test. Someone could look at something fresh and then be like, solve it.
The first time ever? No way, man. No way. It would take somebody hours.
People have played it in different ways. Like when I watch people on YouTube who play it, some of them, do one node, another node, and they just work it out very slowly.
That's how I do it.
He'll just do it all in one, and then he'll just take it all back, and he won't care about the stars. He'll just do it all, and then later on he'll try and get 3 stars. And I've seen one YouTuber who's I think has a yoga or meditation channel.
Oh yeah.
And he stares at it for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then it just goes, and it's done in one go.
Yeah, that's incredible, isn't it? I can't. He's on YouTube. He's made 3 videos of it now. Yeah. He keeps progressing through the levels. Yeah. Like an hour long. The videos. You just think like.
But the way in which he plays it, I've never seen anyone do it. He just stares at it for ages and just looks around, and then in 2 seconds completes it in one go.
That's crazy. That's kind of what I'm talking about like those times where you can just see the answer.
Yeah, I swear a monkey could do this game, and it's not because it's simple. It's freaking hard. It's just like it's so natural.
And sometimes I think I overthink.
Well, I'm happy to hear because last time on the podcast you mentioned that I don't know who said it exactly, but you said that you didn't read the description. You just jumped straight in. And
that was me.
Pick it up fairly quickly. I really liked hearing that actually because that was really beneficial to hear. Because I guess the whole point of the first few levels is they're designed in a way so that you can hopefully just jump in and learn everything you need to learn and just get right in and not mess up and not get stuck not knowing what to do. Not necessarily in the puzzles, but we don't want anyone to not know what to do.
Yeah, like I said, I did several levels right in the beginning. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's working and it makes sense.
But it feels like
and it makes sense. I don't know why it makes sense.
It's creepy that it's creepy when you were even telling me that. You're like, it just feels like it's making sense. Yeah, and I'm like, I know, but I don't know why. It's strange. It's like you're being exposed to like,
there's something about lights. It does something sensory with the brain where it just like, you're attracted to it and it just makes sense. I'd love to see a monkey play this game. I swear they could do several levels.
You think they could do better than you?
I don't want to find out. It's like you ever see like a kid that you haven't seen in like 10 years and they grew and now they're taller than you and you're like, man, kid's not even fully grown yet.
Okay. Yep.
All right, I get you.
5'8" problems.
That's funny.
My goodness.
All right, we've hogged up.
Yeah,
I feel bad.
It's funny. I always shoot for about an hour, for podcast interviews.
After an hour, I get anxiety for the guests.
Yeah, I'm never able to do an hour though. I swear, podcasting is like a time warp. It's like things go on forever. So we'll kind of wrap it up now before things quickly turn into 3 hours or anything like that. You guys are up at midnight your time, you know. Thank you guys for joining us over from the UK. You know,
A lot of good developers coming out from the UK.
yeah, and great team here. You guys, great chemistry. Great job, Kevin and Matt. You're an amazing developer to be a one man guy pumping out this work. Seems like that your strongest feature is doing it fast too. Like holy shit, it seems like you pump out good things quick. So I'm excited to see, you know, what comes next for you guys, whether it's more from this game or future projects. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
So,
thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you guys for joining us, and I'll check you guys all out next week. Have a great
Awesome.
day.
Thank you for having us.